Dear sellers, I'm talking about the gut punch of this is not a priority. And this objection, well, objection, we're going to get to that, comes up whether it's in cold calls, emails, sometimes in your discovery, sometimes on your demo, no matter when you get it. It is, like I said, a real gut punch. Here's the thing, it's not an objection. It's a statement of fact. It's not a priority. They're assessing what you're saying and they're telling you that this does not rank in the problems that need addressed right now. So the question becomes, instead of trying to handle this is not a priority, how do we avoid it entirely? How do we create a system that we can assess? How do we keep ending up in this cul-de-sac and avoiding turning down that road that leads us to that dead end? So here's my suggestion. Number one, are you talking to the wrong person? If you're talking to somebody low in the org, they're not going to deal with big company-wide problems. They're not going to stick their neck out for that. So you got to go higher up in the org. Wrong person will tell you not a priority on something that is mission critical because it's not in their pay grade. They're going to stay in their lane. So think about that. Number two, is it the wrong problem? The thing about it is this. Problems need to be tied to priorities and projects. This is something that I've been learning from Nate Nasrallah, and I really appreciate the knowledge he's dropping on that. You've got to tie it to a project. Projects come from executives. Initiatives and projects are theirs. It's up on some executive, slide that they're sharing to the board, and you want your problem tied to that. If it's not, pick a different problem, because otherwise you are fighting to change people's headspace that are much higher up in the pay grade ladder, and that's not an easy fight. So pick fights that you can win. And third, is it the wrong discussion? So what I mean by that is sometimes as sellers, we like to focus on the fear of missing out. Naturally, we're trying to get the curiosity of our buyer, that engagement and commitment. But sometimes we need to address the fear of messing up, which is another problem that Matt Dixon talks about in the Jolt effect. Sometimes you're having the wrong discussion. Am I making it as easy as possible for them to say yes? Have I addressed their concerns? How do I make this low risk? Because at the end of the day, my buyer will not put reputational risk, professional risk, whatever it is on their back for me. That's just not going to happen. As a seller, you cannot get your buyer to take on risk that way. So de-risk your deals. And sometimes you need to have a discussion around that. Otherwise, you're going to end up at, hey, this is not a priority, which is a nice way of them saying, I'm not going to do this. So that being said, that's your rubric. Look at all three of these points. I hope that's helpful to you guys. As always, that to fluff. May the sales be with you. Take care.